need to try and find ways that captivate young people and captivate youth. And I think this event is very inspirational because we need to look at what it is that they are captivated by. For me personally, it's music, it's drums, it's dancing, and maybe try and integrate some of that into how we are trying to relate the spiritual aspect with that. That's what I would say.
Anybody else on the panel want to speak?
Jesse, what? I think, obviously we sometimes worry about young people, and we think, why aren't there more at church, and there should be more here. And we as priests, Father Digby and I were talking about this a long time yesterday as well, about the things that we try and do and the efforts that we make, and sometimes we're successful, sometimes they're less than successful, but I think sometimes we have to remember what a fortunate position we're in as well, and the really good things that are happening. And one of the things that I always rejoice in, I'm sure it will have affected a lot of you here, are our Catholic schools. And there's so many young people connected with our schools and with our parishes. It gives us a fantastic network, and it's a huge family, not only throughout our own diocese and country, but around the world. So in fact, although we always pray that we wish there would be more young people coming to Mass, more exciting things for them to do, I think actually beneath the surface, on the surface and beneath the surface as well, there's a lot of good taking place in schools, in RE, in the parishes, in all of the different groups that you come into contact with in the diocese. It's really something to rejoice in, and it's something that other churches and other religious groups would be envious of as well. So just think of the experience of World Youth Day. It's fantastic.
I'd just echo what's been said, but also say that it's not just priests who are responsible for kind of promoting youth and young people going to Mass. It's kind of our job as well. It's not kind, it's your job. Oh, it is our job, but when I came to London from Northern Ireland, I didn't really grow up with any kind of young people's groups within the church. And I came to London and was shocked, pleasantly shocked. And I think some of the groups that have been set up, like Youth 2000, have been set up by people like us. And that's kind of, not kind of, it is our job to do that.
Thanks.
Great, thank you Isabel for that question. Any more? Any more questions? Yeah, just want to really encourage you just to feel that you can ask any question that you want. Okay? Any question, remember we're amongst fellow friends here, so be as honest as you can. Yep, I'm aware of hands.
There was one at the back.
Christopher. The other day we were at Avila, and in the museum there was a whole room dedicated to holy relics. That's not something I've really come across before, and I was just wondering if you could tell us a bit about the concept of relics of saints and what we should be experiencing in that room or appreciating in the room.
So we can go back.
Okay, so we're asking about the concept of relics we saw in Avila. Can you explain that concept to us, unpack it a bit more?
It's a Holy Spirit moment. I know Father Stephen gave a wonderful example, answer to this in an earlier panel session we had somewhere else. Just as a matter of interest, I remember the other day we were asked those who went to the relics of St. Therese, quite a few put up their hand. I think one approach to this question, because it isn't always easy to explain in a way that makes sense to people both within the church and outside. Relics, there's a bow in there, there was a very good example in Avila of holy persons, sometimes the clothing, but some aspect of their life that continues, and that it relates to the intercession of the saints, the communion of saints in heaven. And our theology, absolutely central, as you know, to Christianity, is the incarnate Christ. The Word became flesh. Jesus was a person, the Son of God, the Son of Man, a person, went through all the stages of life that we go through, real flesh and blood. And in that, you know that, we believe it, it's the creed. It's not always easy to hold together his divinity and humanity. Now the saints, close to Christ, holy, participating in God's life in a very exemplary way, wonderful exemplary virtue. We, because we're not saints by and large, we need reminders and tangible reminders of who they were, their special gifts, and a relic is just a tangible sign. We sometimes call it something like a sacramental, there's 7 sacraments, but we're very sort of earthed religion, and we need signs like you might have on your phone, a photo of your loved ones, you might have even looked at it in these few days, to remind you when you've been communicating with them, to communicate with God and be in that family of the saints. The tradition of relics, I think, one aspect of it is, it puts me in touch with God and the particular saint, for me to try and emulate in my own real life, as different as we all are. Having a relic there is the tangible thing that most of us need. Part of the Reformation disputes, as you know, and Puritanism and the whole issue was the Catholic Church, a big word for us that we really value, I hope, is mediate. Christ mediates his love through the sacraments, through the incarnate church, through the gift of the priesthood, etc., through sacramental signs, oil, water, etc. So and the debate was that we don't need all that, we can just go direct to God, don't need anything, so you sort of bypass the human. I don't want to go on anymore, but I think the relics remind me that the saints were really down to earth, and it's a help to have that sign, like the kind of photo that you need. I don't know if that's a very satisfactory answer, but over to someone else.
Before the rest of the panel have a chance to say anything, I'm going to give you a few moments, because I'm just wondering, as Father Digby said, Father Stephen did ask people the other day whether anybody had been to see the relics of St. Therese, and a number of pilgrims put their hands up. I'm going to give you 30 seconds now to just close your eyes and say a quick prayer, and see if there's any pilgrims who did go to see the relics who might say a sentence or a couple of sentences either about why they chose to go or what the experience was for them. So if you're one of the pilgrims who went to see the relics, just take 30 seconds to see if God would give you the courage to tell us something of your experience of that in just 1 or 2 sentences.